So the power creep has accelerated, the combos are getting crazy long, and the skills are ridiculous, and you can use them multiple times. So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna play dirty. Hi, it's your local dragon lady here, and yeah, we all know what the term playing dirty means in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. You can either play stall, you can play chain burn, effect burn, mystic mine, but it's banned, or you can just play a lot of floodgates. So people are probably wondering, well, in Duel Links, like, are there any floodgates? Well, there is in this format. So we all know in early Yu-Gi-Oh! You only had one hand to work with, and that was your hand, the few cards that you drew with. But now we have three hands. We have the cards in your hand, you have the cards in the graveyard, and we have the cards in the banished section. And all of, well, actually not all of them, but a lot of decks in the current format heavily, and I mean heavily, rely on the graveyard. So there isn't really any floodgates per se, except for the accidental one. And the card I'm talking about is Necrovalley. Holy moly, is that card debilitating to a lot of decks. Now, I'm still playing my Blue Eyes, but earlier this month, well, actually a few weeks ago, I did make a video just complaining how Duel Links isn't that much fun anymore, and it's mostly due to the skills. And of course, the way Duel Links works is we're all playing within the rules. We're playing with the cards that provide for us and the skills that we have access to. But the problem is the skills, you can use them multiple times per turn. I've seen some comments saying that the skills overall are horrible, but the thing is, I'm not entirely against them. If you can use them once per duel. Once per duel, get out your boss monster, whatever. But even when an opponent is using their skills multiple times, Necrovalley is a huge wrench in their plans. So anyway, I decided to experiment with my Blue Eyes decks by adding some Necrovalleys or easy ways to access it. So I built two decks. The first one, I decided to build a synchro-based deck. I tried playing a few Sage with Eyes of Blues, a few Eggs, but this is the deck that I came up with, and I actually won a decent number of duels with it. So I still use the Battle Chronicle. It's not as effective in this deck as I would like, but it's still really good for being able to normal summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or the BLS, the vanilla BLS. So in this deck, all I have is one Blue Eyes alt, one egg. So that way, once it goes to the graveyard, it can hatch into either the Dragon Spirit of White, which can banish a back row, or your regular Blue Eyes White Dragon. One Sage of Eyes of blue, with a blue, so I can search for the egg. If you have enough room, you can put in an Effect Revealer, because that is still a really strong card in this format. To search out the cards, I have the Melody Awakening Dragon, so you can discard, an egg if you have it. I only have one Successor Soul. It's kind of tough to fit in two. Crackdown is still really good, and I had two warning points. Good for interruptions, because the Necrovalley strategy works best when you're going first. That's not always going to happen. So I have 3 Necrovalleys, and I had 1 Gravekeeper's Commandant, because you can just discard it and get a Necrovalley in your hand. Unfortunately, I only have 1 Gravekeeper's Commandant. I tried to pull more, but I just couldn't do it. For the extra deck, I had the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Blue Eyes Twin Burst, because it's still easy to contact fuse and spot removal. For Synchros, the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, because this is still a really, really good card in this format, because again, your opponent's going to be using the graveyard for effects. You can cancel it with that. Ancient Fairy Dragon. You can destroy as many field cards as you can, minimum of 1, and you can add a field card of a different name to your hand. I never really synced up into him, because you can use the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon to go into Ancient Fairy. It didn't happen. Or you can go into the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon to bounce a card. Dingirsu is still the best XE monster in my opinion. And I got Salamangreat Great Almirage because I could normal summon an egg, link off into this guy, and the egg will hatch. But this deck, as you know, I still wanted more. I mean, while it did work, and I got a few really good victories off of it, the one that carried me back into Legend rank was my regular Battle Chronicle deck. I just had to remove some interruptions for turn 1, but I mean, it's still doable. So this is my deck right now. Right now, I'm using 1 Blue Eyes Alt, 3 Dragon Spirit of White, the 1 Gravekeeper so I can discard to get 1 of the 3 Necrovals I have in my deck, BLS because you need it for the Battle Chronicle, 3 Vanilla Blue Eyes, 2 Successor Souls, and the Ultimate Fusion is still decent as a going first card, especially if I don't have Necrovalley in my opening hand. So I can get like 2 Blue Eyes out. If my opponent gets a couple of cards in the field, I can interrupt it by activating Ultimate Fusion, fusion into a monster, and I can pop 2 cards. The Melody of Awakening Dragon for, you know, consistency. 2 Crackdowns is still an amazing card, even if I can't get Necrovalley. And this was a gamble, but it did work. Back to the Front. Back to the Front is a crazy card because even though Dingirsu, I can use Successor Soul to get Dingirsu into the grave, to target a monster my opponent controls, and get out of Blue Eyes, but you can use the Back to the Front to revive Dingirsu and target and send another card to the graveyard, or you can revive a Dragon Spirit or what to bash a back row. This is a gamble because the Necrovalley works for everybody. So once I use Necrovalley, I better make sure I want to do that, or I have no reason to need Back to the Front. So this card, I could replace it with more second turn, well, first turn interruptions, but it's worked out so well. It's just really, really good. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Dragon Master Knight, Blue Eyes Ultimate, and the Twin Burst all play off the Battle Chronicle skill and the Ultimate Fusion. 2 dings. And yes, I do have 2 Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon and a Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Dragon because I've done some pretty mean moves with these guys. Not only can I get these out myself with the Blue Eyes, you know, 2 level 8s, but you can steal someone else's and rank up. Last but not least, I have Heretic Sun Dragon, Overlord of Heliopolis. Like, what a mouthful. Whew. But yes, now, this is the deck I used to get to Legend rank, and people hated this card. Oh my goodness. I've had a few duels when I activate Necrovalley. My opponent would do a few things to see if they get around it, but when they couldn't, they would just surrender. So if this will catch on, I don't know, because so many meta decks now, they need the graveyard. So if you want to use a strategy yourself in your meta deck, I don't know if the risk is worth the reward or vice versa. But yeah, now I have, like, once my opponent would, we're playing a revival based deck, take the Sacred Beasts, and they use a skill to get the Monster Reborn, and they realize, oh, Necrovalley, there's no point. I had quite a few moments like that. But I do have a ton, and I mean a ton of replays just as a proof, just to prove my point. But I'm just going to show you the main ones of Necrovalley really, really getting around the graveyard strategy. So yeah, I guess I stayed in Duel Links for this month, and we'll see what happens next month. I don't know, but well, this game is still, it's one of those things I can't seem to turn my back on as much as I want to. So anyway, this Dragon Lady is saying, remembering to be a good sport, to play the game, not the fame. And enjoy the replays because Necrovalley, I think, is being untapped.